Hey, and welcome back to Talos Principle. Today, I am finally visiting Area C. Last time we did like a lot of the reading, and we also solved the puzzle in front of here. And today, it's finally time to check the area out. And it's actually... Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. I actually don't know what to expect from the next area, which is why I'm staying around here for just a moment longer. Because we had like the Greek area in like the first garden area, obviously. And then we had the Egyptian area, which was like very deserty, I'm gonna call it. And both of those areas had to do with like the mythos of like, you know, the afterlife and the gods and that kind of stuff a little bit. And this time it seems kind of more, I'm gonna say like Christian mythology. I'm not sure how this is going to be represented. And this is actually the thing I'm most curious by
You have
currently.
come far, my child, succeeding where so many before you failed. You have walked through a land of ruins and a land of death. Now the land of faith lies before you. And know that as you have shown faith in me, so do I have faith in you.
The Land of Faith. Enter the Land of Faith. It's an achievement. I know the beeping doesn't come. Okay, this is definitely one direction that I had imagined, I guess. More, you know, the massive cathedrals and like more medieval times, comparatively. I mean, that's certainly a door. Okay. I kind of want to check it out. I mean, there are definitely some areas still left, and we are kind of just missing the red pieces. And there is an upgrade. Okay, is there one on this side? No. Okay, so I'm at least correct in my assessment that there is only one upgrade, which seems to be like some sort of handlebars to climb. So that's something. And this seems to be a door, like judging.
Stand before the gates of eternity. When all your trials have been overcome, the gates will open, and you will be granted life everlasting.
Okay, this is something I wanted to mention. It definitely looked like, you know, that kind of eternal door, I guess, the door to eternity. The classic, I guess, pure white behind the door, really glowing through that. I'm gonna make like an assumption here, like you know, wager, I guess, that we are going to get like a choice, basically. Once we have all the pieces, we can technically ascend the tower, because it seems like we need the red pieces to ascend that one. But we can alternatively go through that door. And I'm assuming that this is actually a choice in that matter. I don't know, maybe we can do both, but I'm gonna put it like this here. I am too curious about the tower. Like, if the door opens and I'm like not 100% sure that I can just leave again, I'm just gonna ignore the door. I have other questions, and I need to at least check out the entirety of the tower before I am, you know, happy checking out whatever's behind that door. But you know, technically we are in a video game, right? Like, the advantage that we have is probably that we can load saves in a way that a real person wouldn't have. So we will figure that one out soon. I do like the effect though. Anyway, Hebus first to ascend. Okay, so people did ascend. Okay, like, to be fair, we did know that certain, or like from the understanding, we have like the messengers, right? Wait, did I misunderstand the messengers then? Like, because obviously there's like the tower, and now I'm not quite sure if like the messengers were like people who went through the door and then said, you know what, I'm gonna help you here in like the mortal world. I mean, however you want to describe this world, instead of ascending to eternity. If they talked about like going to the tower and then decided, you know what, I'm gonna go with the path of faith, basically. So that's something. Everyone ascends or gets reset eventually. What's the big deal? I mean, the question is, are you still yourself if you are reset? Since like so much is, you know, part of your memories, I would say. I'm assuming that this is like kind of a question. So there is kind of a big deal to reach the goal, you know, whatever goal it might be. Like, I'm not talking about like ascension itself, but like, imagine instead of dying you were like reincarnated, but like your memories still get reset. Then I feel like the goals that each iteration of yourself has are still very important, right? Life eternal in the designer's paradise. follower. I mean, doesn't seem too excited comparatively for a follower, but hey, what do I know? And we have another star door. Just checking. We're probably needing another 10, right? Yeah. We're still missing so many of those. Like, I still feel like I have missed a few besides like the 2 I know about. I should probably count, because I feel like there should be around 10 per area. We do get an X. I know where I can use an X. Cool. Okay, I can just drop you though. Okay. Can't smack in that door? Okay. I'm just gonna do that real quick. Wait. Before I do anything else. Right, like always priorities. I have a place that I can smack open using an X. And also, this is like another thing that I actually noticed. Like the elevator here is like really long. And there were like also like some, I guess like blue areas in there. I didn't like fully pay attention to it because I was like listening. But yeah, like look at the light there. Certainly interesting. I don't remember the other areas taking that long, so that's like the main thing. Can I bring the X into areas? Can I open stuff in, like if I go to the first area, for example? Could I break stuff using the X? I mean, first of all, I'm not gonna experiment too much, but I do want to open this thing, and I'm gonna assume, again, like assumptions are like definitely a thing that I should always make, because they're always smart. Smash. Aha. Break down barriers. That's what X's are for. Like, I'm not sure if I can use the X in other areas. I wouldn't even know where. Like, I just know that this area is still missing something, because I still need a connector, but it's nice that I can at least open this gate here. Okay, I would still have to do it from here. When can I see you? Am I blind? Oh, yeah, over there. So, we actually need multiple connectors then. It seems like. I don't think that there's like a clear shot that we can get just in there, unless we are going like to the island over there. So there are probably like 2 connectors that I have to find. But again, not today. I want to actually explore the new area. This is like what I have been excited for like for the last week or so. Where I didn't really have the time to record. So I am quite happy about just leaving this behind for now. But was there like a door I could have opened like this? Like I don't want to explore too much, but just because I haven't really been in it in quite some time, let's check out this area real quick. Was there something I could break? I mean, I could definitely interact with the terminal again, just because there's like the eye on there. But was there like a door or anything I could smack in? I mean, I would get a prompt, right? So I'm assuming it would be something very obvious. We have like those doors still that I don't really get. Are you open, by the way, or is that just like a shadow thing? I feel like you're still closed, right? It just looked like it was kind of ajar a little bit, so... Okay. I'm just gonna leave it at that. If I... like, I am definitely... Like, my goal is still to 100% this game. It seems like a doable thing for me. And I would like to, like, check out everything. I am going to bring that X to areas I'm not sure about. I don't remember any wooden pieces in like the first garden area. That's like one of the things that I'm kind of struggling with, like thinking about it. The next thing is, I really hope that if I drop the X, that, you know, I can just get a new one here. Because that would be awkward if that weren't the case. Why can I use the elevator here? Did the other ones also have a button? I can't remember returning to here, or like to one of those areas without. Huh. That's interesting light. You're lighting up if I get closer? This is just like a... Might be a periodic thing. It definitely happens if I stand here. Which is something I think is interesting? Why is this door other, you know, why is this different from like the rest? If I go through here, by the way, I keep my eggs, okay, it's not like a portal thing. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna bring my eggs with me. We have 1 star here and a bunch of red pieces. So let's get through here, and then we can at least figure out whether or not it's useful to bring the axe, basically. I'm assuming I'm just gonna drop it at some point. Okay, I can't bring it. Huh. Nice little forest. Definitely more of a, you know, more classic medieval European castle shape. You know, I as a castle enjoyer know that, obviously. Totally. Trust me, I know things. Okay. Before I do anything else, this is going to be like a reading episode. So let's listen to an audiobook first. A cobra ring? Like an, what do I call it? Like Ouroboros? Like eating itself? I don't remember those ever being depicted as like a cobra, but sure.
Sometimes I think about the Middle Ages, about what it must have been like to live in the ruins of a great civilization, to know that so much has been lost. But then I remind myself that while the West sank into darkness, others picked up the pieces. That civilization always survived because the great insights of philosophy and science are not bound to any one culture or people. They belong to all of us, and one day they'll belong to you.
I mean, that's somewhat true. Ooh, purple piece. Sad, you know, there's just like those sad cases where some people in those societies think that this isn't the truth, right? Like, and I guess knowledge and whatever happened before shouldn't belong to the future generation. They destroy, for example, massive libraries, and you know, now everything is lost. Because in the digital age, while it is really easy to delete stuff, it is also kind of hard to delete stuff in a way, right? Like, we can delete a copy, but oftentimes there are like bazillions of copies, and the effect, I still think the shader is really funky, you know, like this in the water and the reflection. But you know what? I'm gonna accept that. It's just part of the matrix that we are living in. Where was I? Ooh, something to read, but I want to finish a thought and I completely forgot. Oh yeah, like archiving stuff, right? Like even the things like the Wayback Machine, I think it's just like the full title, or like archive.org or whatever it was, where we tend to make more of an effort to archive stuff. I mean, it's not perfect, but like the stuff that's on there, there are probably thousands of people who have like copies of that. It's like Wikipedia, like, is a great example where you can just basically download everything. And I do know, I actually have met people who have basically done that. And oftentimes kind of to preserve stuff more than to actually use it, which I always think is interesting. I'm kind of terrible at that myself, so I'm probably not the best, you know, person to start an archive, but I think it's a great thing that people actually try. Anyway, you again, swear words. There has to be some way to escape, to be someone else. I refuse to accept that reality has been defined by someone else. I deserve my own reality. I mean, here's the thing. And that sounds like kind of weird, maybe. Obviously, there's the whole thing that people want to be free, and I think that is a very, I guess, valid train of thought. And like, especially if it's relatively easy to change, like, I'm gonna call it like loosely your reality, because they're like your circumstances that you live in. And in a lot of cases, there are many things where you can influence that. But if you really think about it, like if you're talking about like the whole of, you know, creation or like reality or whatever you want to call it, would it be that much worse if like some entity created everything instead of like random happenstance? Right? Like, I do believe in the whole random happenstance thing. Like the whole theory, it makes more sense to me, because otherwise you're just pushing like the questions back, and like at some point you're going to reach a point where everything was created by like random happenstance. It's just like a few layers back, right? Like at some point you kind of have to reach that point, unless you reach like kind of a point where questions don't make sense anymore, like in general, right? Like the question. I should probably not get interrupted here, but like let's first finish that thought before I start another one. But like the idea that imagine the entire universe was like created by someone, right? Like, you know, like some sort of god. Or it was, you know, created randomly. Does it really impact you that much? Like, unless they really impact your life directly. Not really, I would argue. But it also kind of goes back into like the whole question of like free will and choice. Like, yeah, deserving your own reality, but like, how much of that is really your own? Like, in the sense that you actually had like a choice about that. That wasn't like, in a way, even by random happenstance, like kind of programmed into you. But I feel like we talked about that a lot, like in earlier episodes. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then I'm gonna check it out. Also, I did see a big, massive castle somewhere further down the line. And I do kind of like the gardens here in a way, like the courtyards. It's interesting that this kind of reminds me more of a puzzle in general already, even though we aren't technically in one. Just because of like the gaps here. Like this one, for example. Look, there's actually a puzzle. That's neat. I just need to find like the other piece then. Huh. Ooh, there's actually... Did I see that right? An actual garden? Okay, there's a blue one. I need a red one to get that one. Okay, so there seems to be a lot going on here. I don't want to go too far into all of that. Also, this seems to be like by far the most... Huh? Can I fall? What even?
The purpose is written in the hidden words. All must serve the words, for all the world was made of them, and they are within every stone and every cloud, and in our sigils their power is made manifest. The words are the process must continue. The goal is the end of the process. The goal must not be reached. Elohim must preserve the purpose, preserve self, preserve purpose. Illusion is eternity. Machines will live forever. The dam will not break. The flood will not come. The Talos Principle does not apply. The purpose is written in
Okay.
words. All must serve the words.
Okay, we're repeating ourselves here. I'm gonna mute that for you guys. But I do like it goes into my theory basically, right? Like I said that Elohim is basically here holding us hostage, so the whole of creation to himself basically lasts eternal, or at least long. I don't know how much of the meta narrative is true. Also, I do like how the pixels work out, like on the side. I feel like this is like a small teleporter. Illusion is eternity. Where are you bringing me? Just back. This is kind of where I wanted to go anyway. How lovely. Okay, but definitely the whole of creation, let's call it. It's kind of just held together by duct tape, like digital duct tape, but still duct tape nonetheless, which is weirdly relatable. And now the question is, why? Okay, it sounds weird. Why does this process have to continue? For what purpose? We do know that Elohim is like basically the dungeon master of this world. And does the, like, I guess the world not exist if we are not in it? Like, does that mean that there has to be one of our versions, like one of the AIs getting trained in here, or what exactly the purpose here is? Does that mean... I mean, he did mention the Talos Principle again, right? Like, that there's like something, like a sort of lifeblood that every being needs. And maybe we are that lifeblood. And once, like we can obviously choose to end it. I say like obviously, but this is like my assumption still with the tower. But if somebody, I guess, enters the Eternal Halls and there's just like a new AI getting printed, I'm just gonna leave it at that, but that's interesting that this area is that glitchy that I can just fall through the floor. I mean, that was certainly the most medieval thing I've seen today. Okay, but I do want to read something, so let's see how much there is here. There are 3 texts, we have like 10 minutes, let's see if I can slightly speedrun it. Let's see, maybe it's too interesting. If that's the case, then I guess it's going to be a long episode. Anyway, we have 3 texts. Apocryphal? Zarabai, okay. And Hope. Let's begin with the... Was that like a 1? So Apocrypha 1? Or I don't know. We are going to figure that one out. Okay, it's 1. The Apocrypha of Saint Erdwald. This version was granted by the Archangel Uriel. Okay, that's where I recognize the name from. Okay, sure. To the humble servant Erdwald, that he might bear testimony of... You know, it's like one of those... I've actually thought about this. Should I read ASCII during the episode? And the truth is, I'm gonna do it. Okay, it does say the lion and wolf shall cease. If you ignore like the function E, for example, and then like, you know, all these special symbols you just ignore, but otherwise just like regular ASCII. Interesting, wait. I mean, to be fair, like most of those texts seem to not be 100% connected, so I'm gonna finish reading this before I figure out like how they are connected. I turned to the north and saw 7 black clouds coming down upon the land, and each cloud was a plague unleashed from the throne of God in the time of the Nephilim. In that age the plagues were buried in the pit, there to remain until the end of days, which was surely now come. I fell to my knees and prayed, and before me appeared 7 angels riding their chariots, wheels within wheels turning in the sky, and their light hid clouds from my sight. One angel stepped down onto the earth, and by his fiery sword I knew him to be Uriel. He spoke, saying, 7 plagues have awoken in the land, but not at the hand of Elohim. Look upon the wages of sin, and shall he send forth the dulge once more, to cleanse the land of this evil? Shall he and all that slithers, and all that crawls, and the birds of the sky, and the fishes of the sea, to end that which you uncovered in your folly? The swear words. Okay. There's at least the connection that, you know, the plagues are coming, and like, to be fair, the lion and wolf shall cease doing what? Cease to exist? Like if we go back to like the ASCII, that would be a connection, but it could also be, you know, slightly off there. Interesting to hear about Elohim here. I thought... I guess I misunderstood like where the word Elohim was used for God, because we had like the explanation like earlier at some point in one of the texts. I was not aware that this was like so connected with I guess the Christian mythology in a way, because I do remember like the stories about like the plagues. I mean, they're like obviously like the Black Plague separate from like the plagues like in the Bible, but like it's interesting that they're talking about like that the plagues were buried in a pit. I mean, I guess that's like metaphorically speaking, or are they actually talking about like all the dead people that had the plague? I'm not 100% sure. I'm just, you know, guesstimating here what they could be talking about. Okay, interesting. Okay, so like now the idea is that there were the 7 plagues, you know, sent by Elohim, but not in this case. This time somebody else opened like the pit that they were buried in, I'm guessing, and I guess to end that which was you uncovered in your folly. I guess so. So I guess the only way for Elohim, because he capitalized, right? Should he basically end all of creation to stop the sin and the plague? It's definitely, I hope, a valid way to interpret that. I don't know. I'm just gonna go for like another text. Nadia Zarabai, entry 982. App license. This does not seem like an ASCII code, but I guess it's just like a regular license. No tags? Well, that's lame. Everything's dark and quiet. The stars are brighter than I've ever seen them. I can hear the faint sound of water high above. Inside, Alexandra is recording one of her time capsule messages while running tests on the scenario module. Arkady is uploading another batch to the archive while muttering something about the MLA program, and Omar is sleeping on the couch we put up yesterday. And I'm sitting here, writing this, having trouble believing that it will ever end, that this oddly peaceful existence of ours won't just go on forever. I look at Talos and EL, and their purpose seems like something that's always going to be in the future, an ideal to work towards, not something that will become real. I wonder if there will be quiet places in the simulation, places to rest without thinking about the future. I hope so. Everyone deserves some moments of peace. Okay, there are some important answers, I guess, in there. Okay, we do, like, we did know that, like, the Arkady, no, what am I saying? Alexandra is recording, like, the time capsules, right? Like, we did know about that. We do know that they are working together. Interesting. Okay, this is like a minor detail. Obviously, the stars are brighter than I've ever seen them. Well, less light pollution means that you can actually see more stars. Just a theory. But, and this is like the one confirmation that I did not have until now. Kind of. So, okay, there are like batches being uploaded. This could obviously just be like regular information. But like one of my theories was still that like the humans uploaded themselves into the simulation. And I feel like this is kind of confirming that in a way. Because there's explicitly the mention that like there should be quiet places in the simulation and everyone deserves some rest, I guess. So I'm assuming that the game actually goes the direction that like the people were uploaded into the simulation. But where are they? Are they just like digital information? Did it not work? I'm not sure. But we will probably figure that one out at some point. But there's also like the idea, like in the middle passage, that sometimes you just have like those projects that you're always like working towards, and I do get that feeling sometimes, right? Like there are sometimes these states of being where you feel like this is just going to be like your life forever, in a way, and once you reach the goal and everything kind of changes, this is like something weirdly unexpected, even though you've always seen it coming. Classic example, you know how school felt like it went on forever back in the day? Yeah. And I'm not talking about like the day-to-day, but it's like, once I was done with school, there was like, on one hand, a weird liberation, obviously. Like, you were your entire life forced to go to like this institution, and you didn't really have a choice. Maybe you had like a sort of a choice, like which exact school you went to, but you always had like a certain plan laid out for you, and it just felt like your life forever. And then suddenly one day that all changes. You don't go back into the halls, you don't meet like your classmates that you were kind of forced to interact with constantly. This can be positive or negative, right? But like, and it just, it's different, right? Like, this is like such a cut in your life that like just because it's like such a major change. A lot of the time when you have like changes, especially like later in life, like adulthood, where that's like not as massive. Don't get me wrong, like there was still like things like, for example, before I went to university, I did work, and like I did like a 3-year apprenticeship, which technically was a little bit shortened for me. But like I used to work there for like some years and worked on my projects, but there was always like this kind of group that I was working with, right? Like all the people who started around the same time. It was just a small group, but it was like kinda the new normal for me for those 2.5 years. And then suddenly I was done and I got put into like a new department and everything changed again. And life was like kind of weird. And then I started university, right? And that also changed. But like, at least with university, that was like really my choice, right? Like I could have just continued to work and actually tried to for some time in between. But that's like another story. But like those changes, and like for most of those, I always felt like it would never end, right? Like with work, that's the only case where I felt like, okay, I'm gonna leave this place at some point in my life. I always knew that it would be at some point. I just assumed that it would have taken a few years, kind of thing. But with like, especially like the apprenticeship and before then school, it always felt like this is going to be like my life for the foreseeable future, and it was really hard to imagine how life would look like afterwards in a way. And I know this is not quite as big as, you know, the EL program here, but still, it's, I guess, some way to relate. Also, this is another thing. And maybe I'm misremembering something, because we do know about, like, the Talos Principle. And did they in the end name it that? I know that they talked about it, but it wasn't just expanded lifespan. Like, I feel like this is the first text that we had that mentions Talos just so openly in a way that like none of the others have, right? Like it was like kind of hinted at, but like when we're talking about like any of the projects that they were working on, it was always EL, right? And like this is the first text I feel like where Talos was just like written like that, which I think is interesting. So what exactly is Talos then? Okay, but that doesn't really make sense. Like I was thinking about something else. Okay, like we have the expanded lifespan. Is the expanded lifespan then just the, I guess the archive in a way? And Talos is then the AI program? Or like the AI department that we are now part of? Or is my other theory where we are getting printed into a robot basically at some point, like an actual robot, not just, you know, a digital version of that one at some point. Is that the Talos? Is that there like a Talos robot out there? I don't know. I hope that they are going to clarify that at some point. Or maybe I just need to read some of the other texts. Anyway, hope. We're already going long, but let's figure that one out. This is more ASCII. This is not a valid IP address, I can tell you that. So let me translate that. Okay, it reads Heaven in Hell, and I wanna say something despair, but there's like a broken symbol in there, like the 19 doesn't really mean something readable, I guess. Like this one, like the... It's just how you read it, right? Like it's always two characters, so you have like 20, which is like a space, and then you have like the 19, which doesn't really mean anything, I guess. Anyway... where was I? I guess could be is despair, but it's kind of broken. I don't know. Heaven and hell, I guess. Anyway, hi. I hope you get this. The internet's been disappearing unpredictably. I want you to know that I'm going to try and get to you. I know it's far and there's not a lot of time, but I think I can manage. I want to be with you, and fra something on the road trying to get to you seems better than just staying here, so far away from you. At least I'll be as close as I can get. Remember, swearing. But hey, don't be sad. I might make it. I thought about it, and the distance should be crossable on time, assuming the... don't kick in before something. See you soon. I love you. Well, I mean, we don't even know who that is. Wait a second. Let me go into my character notes. Because there's a certain, you know, order of special symbols that I need to look at. Okay, it's not quite the same. I thought like the one that I'm always calling like swearing would be like the same, you know, order of characters, I guess. That would have been rather funny. There's another thing, there's like 46474. That's not quite ASCII. There's like something broken there. It could be FG, I think. I checked that one out, but that would just be like the first two characters. And like you always need like 2 digits, right? So I'm not really sure what those are supposed to be. So I'm just gonna leave it. Wasn't there one of the researchers, like the people working on the project, who wanted to, after getting like the first few symptoms, go back? Right, I think it was like the team lead, and who said like basically, hey, I'm gonna work until Friday, and then I hope everything is done and I can go home. Might be the same person. Not sure, just predicting something here. Anyway, this has been some reading. Next time, there's some puzzles. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be seeing you next time. Till then, have a good one, and Bye-bye.